Welcome back to ZE Coins. We explore the hidden treasures in your pocket change and deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins. Today, we're unlocking the full story of the 1972 D Washington quarter dollar. It may seem like just another coin from the past, but some of these have been selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars in today's market. So, what makes the 1972 D quarter special? What gives it such incredible value? And how can you tell if you have one that's worth a small fortune? Stick around to the end as we break it all down and uncover the secrets of this powerful little piece of American history. First, let's look at the background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It quickly became the standard design and has remained on the coin for nearly a century. The obverse features the left-facing portrait of George Washington, while the reverse originally showcased the heraldic eagle design. Now let's fast forward to 1972. In that year, the Denver Mint produced over 311 million Washington quarters bearing the small d mint mark. On the surface, that sounds like a huge number, and you might be thinking there's no way any of these coins could be rare or valuable. But here's where things get interesting: not all 1972 D quarters are created equal. In fact, some carry rare errors and unique minting quirks that make them incredibly valuable to collectors. We're talking about doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and most importantly, high-grade examples in near-perfect condition. One of the most prized versions of the 1972 D quarter is the double die obverse. This rare error occurs when the coin is struck with a misaligned or doubled die, causing some of the lettering and details on Washington's portrait to appear doubled. If you find this kind of error on your 1972 D quarter, congratulations! You might be looking at a coin worth hundreds of dollars or more. Another factor that massively increases the value of this coin is its condition. Most quarters from 1972 were heavily circulated. They show lots of wear and tear. But when collectors find a coin that's in mint state condition, especially in grades like MS65 or higher, it can command serious money at auctions. To give you a real-world example, a 1972 D Washington quarter graded MS67 by PCGS, that's near perfect condition, sold for over $500 at auction. And the higher the grade, the higher the price. There are only a few known examples in MS68 condition, and those are worth even more. In a hot collector's market, such a coin could bring in over $1,000 or more, especially if it has beautiful luster, strong details, and no visible marks. But that's not all. Some 1972 D quarters have errors that make them ultra-rare. A few examples have been found with partial collars, broad strikes, or even wrong planchet errors. One particular off-metal strike was found on a 1972 D quarter struck on a nickel planchet. That coin sold for hundreds of dollars because it's so rare and unusual. So how can you tell if you have a valuable 1972 D quarter in your collection? First, check the mint mark. You should see a small D on the right side of Washington's ponytail. That tells you it was minted in Denver. Then, look at the overall condition. Is the coin crisp and shiny? Does it have sharp edges and clear details? If it does, you may want to have it graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Also, take a magnifying glass and inspect the lettering and numbers. Look closely at the word Liberty, the date, and the motto "In God We Trust." If you notice any signs of doubling or distortion, you could be looking at a doubled die variety. Now let's talk about the current market. As of this year, the demand for high-grade Washington quarters continues to rise. More collectors are entering the scene and prices for top-condition coins are climbing. While a regular 1972 D quarter in circulated condition might only be worth its face value or slightly more, those rare high-grade or error coins can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One thing is clear. The 1972 D Washington quarter is not just another coin. It's a symbol of American history, and in the right condition, it can become a hidden treasure worth big money. So don't overlook your spare change. Check those coins carefully. You never know what kind of rare gem might be hiding in plain sight. If you're into rare coins, hidden gems from American history, or just want to know if that old quarter in your drawer could be worth a fortune, then you're in the right place. Today we're diving deep into the story of the 1966 Washington quarter. This seemingly ordinary coin might just surprise you with its incredible value in the current market and its fascinating history. Let's begin with some quick historical context. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. But the 1966 quarter? That one has a special place in numismatic history because it was struck during a turbulent time for American coinage. In the mid-1960s, the United States experienced a severe coin shortage. Silver prices were skyrocketing, and people were hoarding coins. In response, the U.S. Mint made a drastic decision. Starting in 1965, quarters were no longer struck with 90% silver. Instead, they were made with a copper-nickel clad composition, with a pure copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel alloy. The 1966 Washington quarter was part of this transitional era. It doesn't contain any silver. But that doesn't mean it's not valuable. Let's talk mint marks. Point one of the unique things about the 1966 quarter is that it has no mint mark. During the coin shortage, from 1965 through 1967, the U.S. Mint removed all mint marks from coins to discourage collectors from pulling them out of circulation. So whether your 1966 quarter was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, it won't have a mint mark. Now let's get into what really matters: value. The face value of this coin is just 25 cents. But depending on the condition and type, your 1966 quarter could be worth a whole lot more. Let's start with circulated coins. If you've got a regular 1966 quarter that's been used and shows signs of wear, it's usually worth between 25 cents and $1. Not exactly exciting yet, but stay with me. Now we move on to uncirculated examples. These are coins that were never released for general use and were preserved in mint condition. A 1966 Washington quarter in MS-65 condition, which means it's almost perfect, can sell for around $15 to $30. If it's graded higher, say MS-66 or better, the value can climb to $75 or even more. But wait. It gets better. Let's talk about errors and varieties. This is where the big money comes in. Some 1966 quarters were struck with noticeable errors. One of the most sought after is the double die obverse. This means the coin was struck twice with the die misaligned, creating a doubling effect on the letters and numbers. These are extremely rare but can fetch anywhere from $100 to several $100 depending on how strong the doubling is and the coin's condition. Another rare error is the off-center strike, where the design is noticeably off from the center of the coin. If you find one of these with a large enough off-center percentage and visible date, you could be looking at a value of $50 to $200. There's also the possibility of transitional planchet errors. These occur when a coin is struck on the wrong metal planchet. For example, a 1966 quarter struck on a silver planchet left over from 1964. Although incredibly rare, if you find one, you could be holding a coin worth thousands of dollars. One known example sold at auction for over $5,000. Let's not forget about proof coins. Now technically, no proof coins were struck in 1966. However, the U.S. Mint produced what are known as special mint sets or SMS coins for collectors in that year. These were higher quality strikes with a satin-like finish, somewhere between a regular business strike and a proof coin. A 1966 SMS quarter in top condition, especially one graded SP67 or SP68, can be worth between $25 and $100 or more. Even more interesting are the ultra-rare varieties within these special mint sets. Some coins have cameo or deep cameo finishes, meaning there is a stark contrast between the frosted design and the mirror-like background. These can command premium prices, sometimes $200 to $500, depending on the grade and visual appeal. So what's the takeaway? The 1966 Washington quarter might seem like just another coin in your change jar, but it's part of an important era in U.S. Mint history. And if you've got one in great condition or with a rare error, you could be holding a coin worth far more than its face value. Here's what you should do first: check your 1966 quarters for any signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or other anomalies. Then check the overall condition. If it looks pristine with no scratches or wear, it might be uncirculated or even a special mint set coin. If you think your coin could be valuable, consider getting it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can significantly increase the resale value of your coin and gives collectors confidence in its authenticity. As of today, June 2025, the market for high-quality Washington quarters remains strong. With inflation, rising interest in tangible assets, and a growing community of collectors, rare coins like the 1966 quarter are seeing steady demand. So don't overlook that old coin in your pocket or dresser drawer. It might just be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. We are diving deep into a fascinating coin that could be hiding in your pocket change right now. We're talking about the 1974 Washington quarter dollar coin. At first glance, it might just look like an ordinary piece of change, but don't be fooled. Some of these quarters have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. In this video, we'll explore the history of the 1974 Washington quarter, what makes some of them so valuable, and how much they're worth in today's collector market. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been minted since 1932. It features the profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, on the obverse, or front, of the coin. The reverse of the quarter in 1974 still showed the eagle design, spreading its wings over a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches. This was the classic reverse that remained unchanged until the state quarters were introduced in 1999. Now let's focus on the 1974 issue. This quarter was minted in three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark. The Denver coins bear a D mint mark, and the San Francisco coins have an S mint mark. Most of the 1974 quarters are made of a clad composition, copper-nickel layers bonded to a pure copper core. These were not made of silver, as silver was removed from circulating quarters after 1964. However, what makes some of the 1974 Washington quarters so special are the errors and varieties that appeared during production. One of the most talked about is the 1974 D doubled die obverse. This rare error features noticeable doubling in the lettering, especially in the word liberty and in the motto, "In God We Trust." Coins with strong doubling can sell for hundreds of dollars or more depending on the condition. Then there's the off-center strike error. These are coins that weren't perfectly aligned in the press and ended up being struck with the design off-center. The more off-center the strike, especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin. These errors can fetch anywhere from $50 to over $300 depending on how dramatic the error is. Another fascinating category are clipped planchets. This is when the coin blank is improperly cut, resulting in a coin that looks like it has a bite taken out of it. A 1974 quarter with a good clipped planchet can easily be worth $100 or more to the right collector. And now for one of the most exciting possibilities, the 1974 silver planchet error. Although regular quarters in 1974 were not made of silver, there are extremely rare examples that were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets. These silver quarters weigh slightly more than the usual clad ones, and when tested, they show up as 90% silver. If you have one of these by some miracle, it could be worth thousands of dollars. So how do you know if your 1974 quarter is worth big money? Start by checking the coin's condition. Coins in mint state condition, that is, coins that show no signs of wear, are always more desirable. If you have a coin that looks shiny and flawless, it might be uncirculated. These coins can command prices well above face value, even without errors. Next, look for mint marks and potential doubling under magnification. Use a jeweler's loupe or a coin microscope to inspect the lettering and date for any doubling. Also check for unusual colors, weights, or signs of striking errors. And now, let's talk numbers. What's the current market value of a 1974 quarter? In circulated condition, most 1974 quarters are still only worth face value, 25 cents. However, if your coin is in uncirculated condition, especially MS65 or higher, you could be looking at a value between $5 and $25. That's not bad for a coin that might just be sitting in your change jar. Error coins, as mentioned earlier, are where the real money comes in. A doubled die error or an off-center strike in excellent condition can be worth several $100s. If the coin is professionally graded and slabbed by companies like PCGS or NGC, collectors are willing to pay top dollar. The rarest of the rare, the silver planchet errors or coins with multiple striking mistakes, have sold for over $2,000 in auctions. These are the kinds of coins that make headlines and spark major interest among collectors. And here's a bonus tip: check your 1974 S quarters. These were only made as proof coins and were not intended for circulation. Proof coins are highly detailed and mirror-like in appearance. While most 1974 S proof quarters are not particularly rare, if one somehow ended up in circulation and is in decent condition, it might still be worth more than face value. In conclusion, while most 1974 Washington quarters are worth only their face value, there are a few key things to look out for: mint errors, high-grade condition, and rare planchet types. These hidden gems could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So next time you're going through your spare change, keep an eye out. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. We are going deep into one of the most fascinating coins from modern American coinage, the 1983 D Washington quarter. While it might look like just another ordinary quarter, this specific coin has a story that involves history, scarcity, errors, and serious collector value. So make sure to watch until the end to find out why some of these quarters have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, and how you can identify one of your own. Chapter 1: The background of the 1983 quarter. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Over the decades, its design has seen changes, but the obverse has always proudly featured the profile of the first president. By 1983, the United States Mint was producing billions of coins every year, but what makes the 1983 D Washington quarter stand out isn't the design, it's the circumstances under which it was produced. In the early 1980s, the United States was facing economic challenges. The Mint cut back on making collector sets in 1982 and 1983. This means no official Mint sets were produced that year, a detail that would come to greatly impact the availability and condition of coins from this period. Most 1983 quarters, especially those minted in Denver, designated by the D Mint mark, were struck for circulation only. That means the vast majority were spent, used, scratched, and worn down over time. Chapter 2: Why the 1983 D quarter is special. Because no uncirculated mint sets were made in 1983, finding pristine, high-grade examples of the 1983 D quarter is extremely difficult. Collectors often struggle to locate quarters from this year that have not been heavily circulated. And as you might expect, that drives demand way up for coins in excellent condition. The fewer that exist in mint state, the more valuable they become, but the story doesn't stop there. There are also some rare and unusual error coins from 1983 that make certain quarters highly sought after. One of the most famous errors is the double die reverse, where elements on the back of the coin appear slightly doubled. This doubling can affect the words United States of America, e pluribus unum, or even the eagle's feathers. Coins with this doubling error are rare and can fetch significant money. Another issue to watch out for is off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. All of these minting mistakes can increase a coin's value, sometimes dramatically. Chapter 3: Real auction prices and market value. Now let's talk real money. Just how much is a 1983 D quarter worth, in average circulated condition, the kind you'd find in your spare change? A 1983 D quarter is usually worth its face value, 25 cents. However, in better condition, say, about uncirculated or higher, prices jump quickly. A quarter graded MS65, which means it's in mint state with only minimal flaws, can sell for anywhere from $20 to $50 depending on demand and market fluctuations. Move up to MS66 and MS67 grades, and now we're talking serious value. At auction, an MS67 1983 D Washington quarter has sold for over $500. One example even reached nearly $1,000 due to its stunning condition and strong strike. Now, add a known error like a double die reverse or a significant mint mistake, and the coin's value skyrockets. One rare specimen with a dramatic double die was reported sold for over $2,000. These prices are not just rare exceptions. As collectors continue searching for high-grade modern coins, the demand keeps climbing. And because of the lack of uncirculated mint sets in 1983, supply just can't keep up. Chapter 4: How to spot a valuable 1983 D quarter. If you want to check your change or coin jar for one of these potentially valuable quarters, here's what to look for. First, check the date and mint mark. You need the 1983 quarter with a small d below the portrait of Washington. That D stands for Denver Mint. Next, examine the coin's condition. Is the luster still there? Are the details sharp? If it looks almost brand new and has no major nicks or scratches, it could be a candidate for grading. Then look for errors. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to check the reverse side for any doubling in the letters or details of the eagle. Also inspect the edges for clips or unusual shapes. Anything that looks odd could mean extra value. Finally, if you think you've got something special, consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can massively boost the coin's credibility and sale price. Chapter 5: Market trends and future value. So where is the market going for the 1983 D Washington quarter? Experts believe that modern coins in exceptional condition will continue to rise in value, especially those from years like 1983 when few high-quality examples were saved. Coin collecting is booming thanks to online platforms, YouTube videos, and an increasing number of hobbyists getting into the hunt. And that means competition and prices will only grow. If you have one of these quarters in mint condition or with a unique error, it's worth getting it looked at. And if you're a collector, now may be the time to add a high-grade 1983D quarter to your collection before prices climb further. Conclusion: the 1983D Washington quarter might seem like just another coin in your pocket, but history, scarcity, and collector demand have turned it into a hidden gem. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, this is one coin you'll want to watch closely. We're diving deep into the story of the 1990D Washington quarter-dollar coin. You might have seen one of these lying around your home or even received one as change, but what if I told you that some of these coins have sold for thousands of dollars? That's right. While most 1990D quarters are only worth face value, a few rare varieties and conditions have shocked collectors and dealers alike. In this video, we'll explore the full history of the Washington quarter, the background of the Denver Mint mark, and why certain 1990D quarters are now commanding serious money on the coin market. Stick around to find out if you have one of these rare and valuable coins. Segment transition music. Let's start with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter features a left-facing bust of Washington on the obverse and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. This classic design lasted until the state quarters program began in 1999. Making the 1990D quarter one of the last in the traditional series. The D Mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, which is one of the United States Mint's primary production facilities. In 1990, the Denver Mint struck over 926 million Washington quarters. That's a staggering number, which explains why most 1990D quarters are only worth face value in circulated condition. But here's where things get interesting. Among those nearly 1 billion coins, a tiny number have errors or were struck in exceptionally high quality. And in the world of numismatics, small differences can mean big money. Let's talk about the key factors that can increase the value of a 1990D quarter. First is condition. A coin that has never been circulated, shows no wear, and maintains full detail is called a mint state coin. These coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. For example, a 1990D quarter graded MS67 by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC can sell for over $100. That's already a big jump from 25 cents. Now let's go further. A coin graded MS68 or higher enters elite territory. These are extremely rare because coins minted for circulation almost never survive in such pristine condition. In fact, PCGS has reported very few 1990D quarters in MS68, and one of them sold for over $1,500 at auction. That's $1,500 for a single quarter, but the big money doesn't stop there. Another category to look for is errors and varieties. These are mistakes made during the minting process. Some of the most valuable 1990D quarters include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong planchet entirely. These errors are rare, and the more dramatic they are, the higher the value. For example, a 1990D quarter with a double die obverse, where the details on Washington's face or the lettering appear doubled, could sell for several $100s or more depending on the visibility of the doubling and the coin's condition. A quarter struck off-center by more than 50% could fetch upwards of $200. Even more astonishing, some error coins have sold for over $5,000 when authenticated and auctioned by top coin auction houses. These include 1990D quarters struck on nickel planchets or with major minting defects. The odds of finding one are low, but not impossible. So how do you know if your 1990D quarter is valuable? First, check the condition. If the coin is shiny, free of wear, and shows sharp detail, it might be mint state. Second, inspect for errors. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, or odd metal characteristics. Use a magnifying glass and good lighting. If you suspect you have something unusual, consider sending it to a grading service for authentication. Let's move on to the current market value as of this year. In 2025, the average circulated 1990D Washington quarter is still worth only 25 cents. However, mint state examples in grades MS65 to MS66 are commonly selling between $15 to $40. MS67 coins often range from $80 to $150. MS-68 coins, when they appear at auction, can still hit prices between $1,000 and $1,500. Error coins vary more wildly, with minor errors selling from $50 to $200 and rare planchet or die errors reaching thousands depending on demand and uniqueness. So, while the vast majority of these coins are not rare, a select few can be worth a small fortune. This makes coin collecting such a fascinating and rewarding hobby. A single coin overlooked in a change jar, piggy bank, or old dresser could be worth more than a month's rent. Before we wrap up, here's a bonus tip: always check your coins under good lighting and use an online price guide or a coin book to compare. Coin shows and local coin dealers can also be a great place to get a second opinion. And remember, the condition and authenticity matter the most. Outro music begins. We're diving deep into one of the most intriguing modern coins out there, the 1995 P Washington Quarter. You might think it's just another common coin from the mid-90s, but in the world of coin collecting, even the most unassuming coins can hide some jaw-dropping surprises. Let's rewind the clock to 1995. That year, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 1 billion Washington quarters. That's right, over 1 billion coins came out of that mint with the letter P proudly stamped on them. At a glance, it might seem like the 1995 P quarter is just another mass-produced coin with no special value. But not so fast. While the average 1995 P quarter may only be worth its face value of 25 cents, some rare varieties and high-grade examples can fetch big money on the collector's market. The Washington quarter design had already been in use for decades by the time 1995 rolled around. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the coin became a permanent fixture in U.S. currency. The obverse features the profile of George Washington, while the reverse showcases an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows. This classic design would only last a few more years before the state quarters took over in 1999, which means the 1995 quarter represents the tail end of a historic era. Now, let's talk condition, one of the most important factors in determining the value of any coin. Most 1995 P quarters you'll find in circulation today are heavily worn from years of use. But collectors are on the lookout for uncirculated coins, those that have never been used, have full details, and are free from scratches and wear. Coins like these are often graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, and a 1995 P quarter graded MS-67 or higher can be worth a surprising amount. In fact, one 1995 P quarter graded MS-67 by PCGS has sold for over $700. That's right, over $700 for a single quarter, if it's in near-perfect condition. Even those in slightly lower grades like MS-66 can sell for $50 to $100 depending on the market, but here's where it gets really interesting. Some 1995 P quarters are valuable not just because of their condition, but because of mint errors. These are coins that were misstruck at the mint, things like double dies, off-center strikes, and die clashes. For example, there have been reports of 1995 P quarters with doubled die obverse. This means that the lettering on the front of the coin appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These types of errors are rare, and collectors love them. A strong doubled die example could fetch several $100s or more, especially if it's in high-grade condition. And let's not forget about full strike details. Collectors often pay a premium for quarters with what's called full drumlines or strong eagle feather details on the reverse. These tiny details can make a big difference when it comes to value. So where should you look if you want to find a valuable 1995 P quarter? Start by checking your loose change, coin jars, old rolls of quarters, and even vending machine returns. You never know, that one overlooked coin might be a hidden gem. And if you find one that looks promising, it's worth having it appraised by a professional grading service. It could be the best 25-cent investment you've ever made. And now let's talk about today's market. Coin values fluctuate just like stocks or collectibles. What was worth $100 last year might be worth more or less today. As of now, in 2025, high-grade 1995 P quarters are still in demand. The market remains strong for coins graded MS-66 and above, especially those with registry quality strikes. Error coins continue to draw interest at auctions and through online platforms like eBay or Heritage Auctions. Some collectors are even willing to pay a premium for raw coins that appear to be in excellent condition just for the chance to get them graded and potentially score a jackpot. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone with a curiosity for coins, keep an eye out for the 1995 P Washington quarter. It might not look like much, but under the right circumstances, it can be worth far more than its face value. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or learned something new, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more coin collecting tips, history deep dives, and hidden treasures that could be right under your nose. Drop a comment if you've ever found a valuable coin or want to know more about other hidden gems in US currency. Until next time, happy collecting and check your change.